right. Is he sitting down right now? Do we have my guy?
Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
All right. He's joining us right now. From,
Congratulations.
What's up, Sean Payton? How are you, sir?
Let's go.
Good to see you.
This is the first one, right?
This is it. This is the inaugural on Disney Plus, ESPN. That's it. I'm back.
I love it.
I'm back,
I love
man.
it.
I'm back, man. I am back, baby. You know, it's funny. Like I did SportsCenter the other day, Sean, and they said, "How about top 10 moments in the last 22 years since you last did a SportsCenter in the NFL?" I chose as one of the top moments the Steve Gleason punt block, Sean, because we were there. NFL Network was there that night. 2006. I just spoke about it with Brees last week. I think the anniversary, obviously, of Katrina coming up. Goosebumps, right, for you when that happened, Sean?
Yeah, and the thing that was unique about the 06 team, look, the year prior, they had been displaced in San Antonio.
Right.
They played games in Baton Rouge. I think they were 3-13, and so there was so much damage and devastation to the New Orleans area. That training camp, my first season, and this is 5 months removed from Katrina, we held in Jackson, Mississippi, and we were 7 weeks on the road. In other words, all 4 preseason games were going to be away from the dome because it wasn't fixed. And then we were going to open the regular season at Cleveland, the next game at Green Bay. So 4 on the road in the preseason. I think our 2 home preseason games were played in Shreveport and Jackson.
Wow.
We beat Cleveland in a low-scoring game. What I remember about the Green Bay game, we were down 13 and came back, and that was an important win because to start the season, look, sometimes as coaches you don't know what you have, especially when you're just getting started or you're a first-year head coach. Like you don't know where your team stacks up. And we went into that Monday night game versus Atlanta with both teams being unbeaten. It was a divisional opponent. It was a Monday night game. It was like this perfect storm that I don't even know that ESPN or the folks that were preparing for that telecast knew what it might become.
Right.
And so the first thing that mattered were both those teams were good teams. And then it's the first home game for, call it, half our team. In other words, there's a lot of roster turnover. Where do you park? There's traffic. You're coming from here. You got Green Day, U2.
That's right.
And so we had a practice there Friday night. And the idea was to try to get the emotion, try to get all the possible distractions out of the way. And so ESPN gave us the Monday Night Football lead-in on the big screen. And we turned the lights out after practice. We saw the intro. We saw the Katrina pictures and videos. And it was quiet. I mean, you could have heard a pin drop, and lights came back on. Doug Thornton, who was in charge of the Superdome and played a big role in getting that stadium back up to speed for a game, was there. And it was an emotional moment for the team. And I would say in that 06 season, everyone that signed up to play, whether you were coaching or playing, no one really knew quite what we were getting in for or what it was going to become. It became much bigger than football. And I would say we had better teams after the 06 team. The 9 team won a Super Bowl, the 11 team, 17. I can think of a handful of teams. But in a bar fight, the 06 team wins hands down. And I mean,
that's good.
It was a tough team. And so that game begins. Obviously, Mike Vick's playing at a high level. And our special teams coaches, each game you go into, you have a rush, maybe a way that you're going to pressure the punter. And John Bonamego had said, hey, we feel like we have a good rush. And he explained it to me. And I said, well, let's see how the tempo of this game goes. And Atlanta gets the ball first. They have a few plays. Vic scrambles. There's actually a fumble.
Yeah, I remember. I was sitting next to Marshall Faulk, Sean. I've never heard a stadium that loud when that ball hit the ground and then it rolled out of bounds.
And Fajita has a chance.
Yeah. To
change. If he recovers it, he's going to change history.
Yeah, that's right.
If he recovers it. And so they're punting, and Bonamego walks down to me and says, do you want to rush the first punt? And I said, let's do it. And you have to know Steve Gleason. So Steve, when I first arrived there, I thought was a member of the equipment staff. He was certainly shorter. But then the more you learned about him and the more film you saw, whatever role you asked of him, he was going to be spot on with it. You just had to ask the right role. So he was an outstanding special teams player. There's, 2 pins and a pull, and, he's up the A gap and the timing's perfect and he blocks the punt. And it's as loud, like, we all have these, oh, this was as loud, but that's as loud as I can recall.
Oh, yeah.
Call it, a 10-second period in any stadium I've been a part of. And then Curtis DeLoach scoops it up in the end zone. And here's the thing that we talked about all week. The night's only going to be special if we win the game. But here's the irony. We had valet parking because we were concerned with players getting into the, being on time, getting into the parking garage. And we have this one player, our starting quarterback, Drew Brees.
Yes, sir.
All right, who gets caught in traffic on I-10. And so the rule of thumb is 2 hours before the game, all players are checked into the locker room. I mean, that's a rule. Cell phones off. And the security guys tell me Drew's running behind, and it's not that I'm concerned he's running behind. It's that I know how organized and how anal he is with his schedule. And he's usually 4 hours at the stadium before the game. So I'm thinking to myself, what are the habits and rituals that he's not going to be able to partake in that get him ready to play? And he had this old Toyota Land Rover, but it was an old one with a rack on the top, something like you would see on Mutual of Omaha's Wild Kingdom. And so it was an older used car he's driving. They finally escort him. The police escort him to the Superdome. And when he makes the turn to go, it's a parking garage. He enters the parking garage and the rack wedges. It wedges on the roof of the concrete, and his car gets stuck. And so he takes the keys out of the ignition, throws them on the seat, opens the door, grabs his duffel bag, and he tells the parking attendant, figure out a way to fix this. I'm sitting in the hallway when he comes down the hallway, and he's there 2 hours and 4 minutes before kickoff. And I said, hey, everything's good. Everything's good. No worries. But he's got this unsettled look, which makes me unsettled. And so I find out later they had to take air out of all 4 tires to get his car past that height requirement. And look, fortunately for us, he played well. And that was a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
if you were Atlanta.
It's
I mean,
good.
just
It's a good
the
thing special
emotions
teams.
that game.
Right. It's a good thing special teams scored first. Unbelievable. Sean Payton here on the Rich Eisen Show. I got 5 minutes left till you got to go to your next meeting, and I've got the end of the show. So what do you say to people that are so jacked up in Broncos country about Bo Nix and the chances of this team, being particularly special? It was year 4 in New Orleans where you won it all, and this is year 3 for you. Is this a realistic shot this team has to go on a deep run, if not win it all, Sean?
Well, I think our fans today are smarter than they've ever been. And look, last year, there's a lot of unknowns. Whenever you start a rookie quarterback and you're in year 2 of a rebuild, you're 90-some million over the cap of dead money. So you're operating with 2/3 of a budget. I think I don't know what the expectations were. I don't think they were that of a playoff team. But I can tell you, in the building, after another draft, another offseason of free agency, I can tell you the expectations of this team. And our league's never changed. It's always been win the division first, try to get the best possible seed, and then win a Super Bowl championship. And those are the goals of this team. And we recognize and how difficult that can be. We recognize, how good Kansas City has been, where the Chargers have come with the hiring of Jim Harbaugh. Pete Carroll just gets hired in Seattle. And I thank Pete, because when he got hired, I became the youngest coach in this division.
You're the young guy. Okay.
And when you look at those 3 teams, I'm just talking about the division. There's a lot of wins amongst those coaches, and there's great respect for all of them. So I think the thing we've always tried to do is internalize the focus, and it's like running the race. And this happens in training camp, and you have horse blinders on, and the other 31 teams are running as well, but you don't know exactly where they're stacking up. But you just have to prepare and do your best to make sure you're maximizing your talent. And so I think there are high expectations, and I think our players will embrace those.
A couple of minutes left before ESPN Radio, presented by Progressive Insurance radio audience, leaves us. In the minute plus I have left, Bo Nix, how special is he, Sean?
Yeah, he's a guy that, let me just start with this. His experience shows right away. He had his time at Auburn, and had some adversity also, and then transfers and gets to Oregon. I think the thing that maybe was most undervalued or under-discussed with him is his athleticism. He's a tremendous foot athlete. So he can throw from a lot of different body angles. He can run and step up and get you a first down. He's got outstanding arm strength. And I think oftentimes we try to group quarterbacks based on the offenses they're playing in college, and they can't control that. So, we try to eliminate all the quick throws, the bubbles, the smokes, and really try to evaluate where a player can be projected in an NFL offense. And I would say the one thing that really was unexpected, we knew he was extremely accurate. We had seen that, the most accurate passer in the history of college football. We knew how he played on third down. We knew he threw from awkward positions. We knew he had great leadership skills, but he didn't do the shuttles. He didn't run the 40. Mm-hmm. He didn't do some of those drills because he had a turf toe at the combine. And I didn't realize that, because I thought he would have done those extremely well. And the foot athlete that we got, that we get to see now daily, and that's, let's face it, that's not new to our league. You know, Bill Walsh wanted quarterbacks that can move. He had Steve Young, but when you have a quarterback that has trouble with sacks, and then you're going to have trouble with consistency in drives and scoring. And I would say his athleticism, he's 6'2.5", 220 pounds, and I think it's all ahead of him. And I think our fans, and I think football fans in general, will see that.
Sean, you're the best, man. Thanks for taking the time on 5 days before kickoff of your season, being part of the inaugural show. You're truly one of my favorites.